I've had a number of people over the course of the past, couple of weeks now talking about and asking me what my thoughts are on the Shane Dawson, Jeffree Star controversy and, things surrounding everything that's kind of going on there. And I wanted to go ahead, guys, and kind of go over some of the things that, what we know about what happened with Shane Dawson and what the future may hold here. And I got to say, guys, just for full disclosure, that Shane Dawson, before all of this stuff really came out, he was one of those YouTubers I really have looked up to over the years, just making incredibly, in my opinion, some, especially his documentary series that he did with Jeffree Star, I thought was very well done, and I really enjoyed it. Getting kind of like almost like a behind the scenes of the beauty world and things of that nature, and I just thought that the way that they did it was really, really well done. But with that, guys, I wanted to kind of go through what happened to Shane Dawson. We can break it down, give our opinions, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. So let's get into it. So guys, I'm going to be taking reference from a article that was written by Lindsay Dodson of Insider, how Shane Dawson went from king of YouTube to the biggest fall from grace the platform has ever seen. So the problem with putting heroes up on a pedestal is they have a long way to fall, and someone who has fallen and crashed hard this week is Shane Dawson. Over the last few years, Dawson earned his crown as the king of YouTube with documentary series length videos that arguably changed how content was made on the platform. Equal parts untouchable and empathetic, Dawson's success has grown and grown with his mega popular conspiracy theory videos and his access to controversial stars like Jeffree Star and Jake Paul. So with that, guys, the thing about it is with Shane Dawson, he does these, these conspiracy, videos and such, but also he brings on controversial stars as it is. So obviously there's going to be controversy surrounding these stars that he's bringing on in the first place. And honestly, guys, anyone that he's brought on to his show, what's really interesting about it is like the backstory that you start learning. Whether you like Jeffree Star or you don't like him, or you don't like Jake Paul or you love Jake Paul, you start to kind of see some behind the scenes of that and kind of what it is like in a day-to-day basis with these, huge stars, guys, that are like larger than life on the YouTube platform. But while he's worked hard on this likable image, plenty of people never forget Dawson's past. Problematic behavior would sporadically reappear and threaten to take down this carefully crafted identity. So now in the eye of Carmageddon storm, Dawson may finally have passed the point of no return. So look, guys, there's been a number of layers here to all of this, and we're not going to go through everything in specific detail, but we're going to kind of give the overall here of pretty much what happened here with Shane Dawson, and is he ever going to come back? Because at this point in time, guys, his channel is channels, I should say, are completely demonetized, which means that he can't make money off of ad revenue for the foreseeable future. I mean, it looks like it could be, for a permanent basis. A lot of times it's usually for a period of time that they're not able to make money off of their videos. This has been shown throughout the community, guys, or throughout just YouTube as a whole, like with Keemstar and other, big celebrities on YouTube. But it's hard to say whether or not he's even going to be able to re-access, getting monetized once again on any of his channels. That's yet to be seen. Dawson seemed to light the match that sparked his own canceling when he posted a lengthy statement about the YouTube beauty community less than 2 weeks ago, slamming dramatic gurus and saying James Charles needed to be served a slice of humble pie when he lost 3 million subscribers last year. It didn't really go down well. People within the community started accusing Dawson of using the beauty world as a cash grab, developing his conspiracy palette with Star making his millions and swiftly bolting and trashing it from the outside. This in turn seemed to lead to more angry commentators dredging up Dawson's passive, inappropriate, and offensive content, which, look, guys, what I will say is this. From what I've watched of Shane Dawson, I don't believe that he was using the beauty world as a cash grab. Now, look, I could be wrong, but I don't believe that. What I take a lot of, what really saddens me is the other things, guys. That's kind of going, beyond, just inappropriate and offensive content. That's just pretty much sickening, to be honest. But honestly, though, guys, when we look at just the cash grab that he's being alleged with the beauty community and the beauty world, I'm not really buying that. I think that he generally really was curious about the beauty world, wanted to understand it more, and I'm the same way. I wanted to learn more about it by watching his videos or that documentary series he did with Jeffree Star. I wanted to learn more. It was like after you watched one episode, it was like, oh yeah, I want to keep watching this and understand more and more about the beauty world, and I think they did a really good job of that. Now, over the next few days, the situation escalated to Dawson being called out by Hollywood royalty and being the subject of an explosive takedown video by Tati Westbrook, where she claimed he and Starr gaslit and manipulated her into posting the video that caused Charles's demise by his sister in May 2019 as a means of publicity for their upcoming collaboration. This period of exposing Dawson and Starr has been called Carmageddon, a reference to the beauty community's history of meltdowns and creators finally facing their demise, essentially. Facing their demise. Now, what I will say is this, guys. The video that was put up by Tati Westbrook, I had a hard time even really watching it, just like kind of getting through it. It was such a long video. It was about 40 minutes long. And what I'll say about that, in my opinion, and I'd love to hear your guys' opinion about all this stuff, guys, but I just don't think that, Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, they're already these huge celebrities. I just don't think that they needed to necessarily manipulate her into posting a video. I just don't know why would they do that? It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, at least. Maybe some of you have, other things that you would want to share about that, but I don't understand it. But all the drama, guys, resulted in Dawson losing over 1 million subscribers in the last 2 weeks, and his books and makeup being removed from the online stores of Morphe and Target, which is, that's unbelievable, guys. YouTuber Charita Gaskin from Treta Explains It All told Insider she always knew Dawson would eventually crash and burn, but she didn't know it would happen this fast. His fall from grace was such a complete crash because he was able to get away with such despicable things for so long, she said. He made his living off of being a bigot and a terrible person. Someone like him does whatever it takes to stay on top. Just 6 months ago, the launch of Dawson and Starr's Conspiracy Palette crashed the Morphe and Beauty Bay platforms because so many people were trying to buy it at once. The YouTube superstars were doing meet and greets with thousands of screaming fans at Morphe stores, and the whole venture was allegedly going to earn Dawson $10 million. So, look, just by watching like the documentary, that these guys really are treated like superstars. It's unbelievable. You had all these people in these Morphe stores and such that were so excited to see them. That's definitely. There's no debate about that. These guys have become larger than life individuals. I had no idea, guys, before the documentary that Jeffree Star was as big as he was. I knew he had a solid following on YouTube and such. Had absolutely no idea that this guy was. Basically like a larger than life individual in the beauty world. What they're building and what Jeffree Star was building, and even like these other guys that are within the beauty world, it's something really special in my opinion, even though obviously there's tons of controversy around it, tons of people that are coming out in their obviously, taking shots at one another consistently, which is somewhat unfortunate, let's put it that way. Now, this is the thing. Dawson's problematic history has haunted him for years. This by no means is the first time Dawson's history has come back to haunt him. He's been on YouTube as a social media celebrity for over a decade and started his online career during the peak of edgy comedy. As Mike Majulek said in a recent Impulsive podcast episode, it was a time where you would try and say the most offensive thing you could think of to get a laugh. And look, that's so true. It's unbelievably true because back in the early days of YouTube, guys, people didn't really think about, 10, 20 years from now, people are going to look back on this and think that this was, really bad to say. People didn't really think of it. It's kind of like even Eminem. Back in the day, guys, when rap was kind of up and coming, Eminem, when he would use slurs and things of that nature in his songs, which now later on people look back on and are really upset at him about it because they don't like some of the things that he used to say back then. But times change, and back then it was okay, now it's not okay, even though technically speaking it was never okay. Some of the things that these larger than life celebrities and such are saying and such, it's just with time, some people end up end up like, kind of really putting a spotlight on some of the things that some of these celebrities said way back when. Now, the difference is that now Dawson is something of a mainstream celebrity, while in 2012, he and other online creators like Jenna Marbles were christened as rising stars you never heard of in Variety magazine. Gen Z and certain breeds of very online millennials have made them into household names in the years since. YouTube culture has steadily trickled through the wall between online and mainstream entertainment over the last decade, but it was Dramageddon 2 and the fallout between Westbrook and Charles that bulldozed its way through. Even those asking who are these people found themselves desperate to read about the latest installment in the saga of who was going to win the beauty guru war. Now look, guys, I didn't really follow Dramageddon. I haven't really followed a lot of things within the beauty world simply because, it wasn't something that I was like a significant, like it was like a spotlight that I wanted to consistently look at. I just never really thought about it. But when you start having these other YouTubers that I have watched, that being like Shane Dawson and such, then you start really taking somewhat of an interest in it. And I think that's why Dawson, there's like this huge spotlight now on the beauty world, on just him as an individual, Jeffree Star, even Jada Pinkett Smith knows who Dawson is on Twitter, that she was done with the excuses when an old video showed Dawson pretending, which, look, what Shane Dawson did, with, of course, Jada Pinkett Smith's like a poster of her daughter Willow is inexcusable, guys. It's terrible. Badly timed letter to the beauty community and manipulative label was finally what tipped Dawson's career and reputation over the edge. Now, here's what I'm going to say, guys. Right now, it's all doom and gloom for Shane Dawson. It's all doom and gloom for even some of these other guys, like Jeffree Star, apparently, and other, people within the beauty world, and even just, creators in general, like even like Jenna Marbles and such, for some of the things that she said in the past. Here's what I'm going to say. Even though there are, I've always been a firm believer, even with, the pandemic going on in our world right here, right now, guys, I believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think that there's always room for some of these, creators and such it may take them a long time to figure it out, to kind of maneuver however they need to kind of get back on the right track, because it's kind of like life is a road. And there are paths on all kinds of different sides along that road. And sometimes we decide to go off the road onto some of those paths. We all do it, guys. It just happens. And a lot of times those paths lead us to bad places. And so this is just a perfect example. Shane Dawson is one of those guys who's been on the road, has been very successful, but he's gone off the road at times into various paths, and some of those have led him into some trouble. And it happens to everyone, guys, whether you're big or small. With these huge creators, these huge like celebrities, larger-than-life celebrities on YouTube, there's a real spotlight on them, obviously, guys, unlike other people out there in the world. Your average person, if they're doing things behind the scenes that are, looked at as super negative, a lot of times that doesn't come to light. It comes to light when it's really big, popular, stars on YouTube or other forms of entertainment. So what I'm saying is here, guys, is that, look, I believe that this will get figured out over time, and I don't know if that means that Shane will ever come back to YouTube again, or if he's going to ever be monetized again. Maybe he goes to a different platform. Who knows, guys? All we know is that I believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel for any type of person out there. And look, it's never too late to correct a mistake, okay? We're all going to make mistakes through life. It's about how we approach those things after, right? Down the road, on the journey that we call life, trying to fix those things, which they're never going to be fully fixed. But, forgiveness is a big part of it, guys. As a community, we have to learn to forgive people as just as a culture and all of that, These are mistakes that people make, guys, and it's very unfortunate. It's sickening, honestly. It's a very sickening ordeal. But Dawson's continued partnership with Star, who is periodically called out for his own controversies, also didn't help the case. I think Shane was always playing with fire, befriending maybe the most controversial figure on YouTube and aligning so much of his brand with him, CEO of Studio BE, Brandon Ralph, told Insider. It's ironically what probably made the duo so successful. The devil and the angel combo always works in storytelling. He said Dawson has now been exposed as not quite the angel he seemed, and I am a strong believer in forgiving people for their past, and this hasn't been Shane's first apology about any of this, he said, but I think the timing and where the world is at has really started to harm his halo. I agree with this, but I 100% agree with forgiving people for their past. You got to forgive people. Now, does that mean that we think that Shane should just come back to YouTube and he's able to, do everything that he wants to again and be monetized and such? No, there needs to be consequences for your actions, and there's no debate about that. Anyone out there, guys, that if you're honest with yourself, if you're doing something wrong, you end up getting caught, or you end up not getting caught, you have to, there's going to be consequences if you're doing something wrong at the end of the day. And I think that Shane is no different than all of us. Like from the standpoint of we all make mistakes. Sure, what he did, that's not what everybody does, but we all make mistakes at the end of the day, guys. That's what I'm getting at here. Now, the halo effect is when we look at one attribute of a person and then we let it engulf them, he said. Like, that person's pretty, so they must be a good person too. Or it could be for the negative too. Like, that person did this one thing, so everything about them is bad. It's kind of this black and white thinking. If someone in our minds is all good and they end up in a scandal, it can feel uncomfortable and threatening that our reality is changed. When something happens that's even somewhat controversial, people get it in their brain. Oh, this person lied to me. They're not a good person. They're not a nice person. Shane Dawson is constantly helping people. Before he got into his whole docuseries thing, he was raising up small creators. So when we see that bad thing, it screws up what we expected of that person. And I agree. I mean, I think Shane Dawson has actually done a ton of stuff, guys, for the YouTube community as a whole. I will always give him props for being like a creative visionary when it came to how he approached his videos and such. They're so professionally well done. And I do think that he was the king of YouTube, guys, for a while. I do think that there was a time where there's been different people who have kind of taken the crown from one another, right? You got like PewDiePie, who was kind of on top for so long. He still is, technically speaking. But then you got like Casey Neistat coming up, David Dobrik. You've got like the Paul brothers, Shane Dawson. You have all these different guys who are kind of like, taking the crown from one another. But I think Shane Dawson, what he did was he kind of was almost changing the way that we were doing storytelling on YouTube. And it was just an unbelievable thing. But now, Dawson flew too close to the sun. Starr, on the other hand, may be uncancelable for this very reason. His fan base is so desensitized to his problematic behavior and supervillain persona that they accept it, even though he's been through more controversies than I've had hot dinner, said Ralph. The expectation fans have of Dawson is very difficult, so his mistakes feel more significant. Compared to Dawson's million, Starr has lost 400,000 subscribers in the last 2 weeks, a relatively small number for an exposed past littered with slurs, violence, and backstabbing behavior. When you have somebody like Jeffree Star, Trisha Paytas, or Atena Moncrief, what do you really expect from them? Do you expect them to be this kind, generous, giving person, or do you expect them to be kind of not such a good person, constantly be in controversy? You kind of look at it like, oh, well, I expect that from them, but I don't expect it from Shane. And look, really quick, about Jeffree Star, I actually think that, from an outsider looking in who didn't really watch many of his videos until after the documentary and such that came out from Shane Dawson, when I started watching the documentary, I thought that he seems like a pretty genuine guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he seems like another visionary, a guy who's trying to do something bigger than himself, and he's really trying to build something special. And I gotta respect that from a business perspective. Now, the way in which they go about doing things, guys, in the beauty world, look, I don't know a lot about it, as far as how the way that they go about it, and it's kind of like backstabbing and things of that nature. But I don't think Jeffree Star is going to be the only one who should be kind of put on the spotlight for that. I think that everyone in the beauty world, or a lot of people that these controversies are coming around, they all played a part in that. I don't think it's just Jeffree Star, even though maybe he paints himself as the villain. I think that all of them have something to do with it. And that's just my opinion, guys. Once again, I'd love to hear yours in the comment section below. Dawson's halo shone so brightly for so long for his 22 million fans, it was inevitable he would eventually end up falling short of their expectations and disappointing them. I agree. I 100% agree. Now, I think this might be another resetting of the Shane Dawson empire. This is interesting, but this probably isn't the end of Dawson's online career altogether. His next YouTube series, whatever format it takes, will still bring him millions of views because his diehard fans will be waiting for him. Some of Dawson's fellow YouTubers have survived worse. Many have been canceled to rise from the ashes again a few weeks, months, or even years later. Ralph thinks Dawson will take a long break from his channel, followed by a return to its roots. I 100% agree with this, guys. I think that, look, a lot of times when there is controversy or just a ton of hate towards an individual and you're given like a ton of hate, sometimes those people will just crawl in a hole and never want to go and be on the spotlight again. But then there's some that will rise from that and will be fueled by it and will want to actually be better and get better, but prove all of those haters wrong. I think Shane Dawson might be that guy. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think he might be that guy. Whether Dawson retires on his millions made from the controversy line or comes back to his channel with a heavy heart and bruised ego is uncertain right now. All we can know for sure is that he'll have to put away his YouTube crown in a closet at the back of his beauty room because the reign of old YouTube is over and he won't be needing it anytime soon. I agree, but I'll tell you guys, sometimes the comeback and the rise of someone or the return, the resurgence is bigger than the fall. And I know that right now there is just so much backlash on Shane Dawson and such, and rightfully so. I'm not going to say that any of you guys who are criticizing Shane Dawson for some of the past remarks he's had or some of the things that he's done in his old videos, I get it, right? I hope that he's learned, and I believe that he has. Absolutely. He's going to learn from this. I think that even people in the beauty world, whether Jeffree Star, James Charles, whoever, all these different huge celebrities in the beauty world, I believe that they're going to learn too over time. Look, forgiveness is a huge thing, guys, that many of us are really hard. It's hard sometimes to forgive. It's hard sometimes to kind of give people another chance, even if you've already given them a bunch of chances. Forgiveness is a powerful thing, guys. And look, I know it's tough, especially in a time like right now, during a pandemic and during uncertainty with what's going on in the world. There's a lot of things, guys, that it's scary. There's things that are scary, but at the end of the day, guys, forgiveness is a very powerful thing. Holding grudges, guys, when you let grudges just kind of, you kind of let those things happen, the grudge just kind of grows and grows, and then you start holding more grudges over time, and it almost like not consumes you, but it's just like you keep that all inside you instead of forgiving people and letting, there's always kind of a relief of forgiving someone for something. And I think here, guys, we just have to think about that somewhat. I mean, sure, there's a lot of things that are negative going on, whether we're talking on, YouTube or wherever, right? There's negative things that are just happening in life at any time throughout the course of history. And there's going to be things that we feel that people are doing wrong to us, things that we think people are doing right to us. And there's things that we think that people can do better moving forward to us, and the same thing needs to be held, as we have to be held accountable for those things as well. It's important that at the end of the day, guys, that we forgive people, okay? Don't hold grudges forever. It's at the end of the day, guys, it's not worth holding grudges for forever. I think it's really important that we forgive one another, and it's been something that we've kind of gotten away from, it feels like, in many forms of society in our country and the world at large. So look, think about it. Think about forgiveness. Think about forgiving, right? like, let's, you know, let's try to get better. Let's, like, all of us, I want to get better. I know everybody else out there, there's a form of, like, us as humans, we want to get better at things. Like, right, we're striving for success. We're striving for something. One of the big things that I think that we need to really strive for, though, is, you know, is trying to get better over time. And it's not going to happen overnight, guys. It happens over time. But with that, guys, let me know what you guys think about Shane Dawson and Jeffree Star, this entire thing. What do you guys think happened? Where do you think the real, you know, moment was that things really got into a bad place for Shane Dawson at this point? Do you think he will return back to YouTube? Do you think he will return or go to a different platform? Let me know in the comment section down below. And for more videos like this, guys, stay here with Zero TV.